Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Brand new day, gotta take it on my way, gotta take it on my way.
Today, my co-host is Marion Ryan. I've known Marion since when she joined up to my financial intelligence programme, as it was known then. We had very many lively discussions, and I always really enjoyed talking to Marion, so I know she's going to be a fantastic co-host today. She was a coach originally. She then became a website designer, and very good at it she was too. But she's recently had a major life change, which involved a career pivot, as we will call them. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Welcome to the podcast, Marion Ryan.
Good morning.
Hello, Mrs. How are you?
I'm not bad at all, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Lovely. It's as clear as it was back in 2003, 2004 when we first started talking to
Oh, wow.
So how is it in Ireland? Is it sunny?
Actually, it is. And I got up this morning. It was the first morning that I could see autumn outside.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you know, just one day you realise, you know, autumn's here. Although now the sun is shining, it's looking an absolutely beautiful day. We've had loads and loads of rain this summer. It's been awful.
Yeah, it's hot as anything.
But the sun is shining.
Yeah, you're right. The spiders have got busy.
Yeah.
I opened my bathroom window yesterday. There was a distinct nip in the air. I thought, oh, it's come a bit. It does seem to do that now, though. I think the whole year's slipped back by about a month.
Yeah. So, yeah, how are you coping with your spiders?
They're okay as long as they're outside and far away from me.
Yeah, good. Okay.
My daughter sent me a Snapchat of one that was over her bathroom door the other day, and her brother were trying to get rid of it, and they dropped it and lost it. But she zoomed in on it so suddenly in Snapchat, I'd throw my phone away.
Oh no, that is awful. That is awful.
I know.
You know, and I know, like me, you've probably, well, I know you've lived in various places. I've moved more often than I want to remember. But you know the way some houses are just kind of crawling with bloody spiders.
You don't know until you get in there. It's horrendous. Anyway, we won't make this all about our phobias. We'll have to crack on because she who must be obeyed will be listening with her little stopwatch going. Tell us what you're up to nowadays, because it's very different to what you used to be doing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I had a complete career change last year. Okay, beg your pardon. Yeah, so a complete career change last year when I decided to become a consultant for Slimming World, which is actually it's the biggest slimming organisation in the UK and Ireland. Obviously, you remember me designing websites, which I did for quite a few years. And, you know, obviously, I was good friends with Steve. We were doing the same sort of work. And, you know, one of the things that was great about, you know, the relationship I had with him was that he seemed like the only person who understood the challenges of web design. And one of those challenges was the sort of feeling of isolation that you get when you're chained to your computer, you know, for what seems like 20 hours a day. So that was always something which, you know, though I enjoyed doing the creation, I always found that quite challenging. So the opportunity arose. I had joined Slimming World as a member in the middle of 2014 and very quickly lost 4 stone, more easily than I could ever have imagined I'd be able to do. And that led sort of quite naturally to becoming a consultant myself. And so I've been doing that now for about 15 months, Nicola.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I saw your progress with the weight loss on you know, Facebook, obviously, because we all stalk each other, and I was so impressed with that. Do you think that it was down to because is Slimming World the one where they do the red days and the green days, so different combinations?
Well, actually, red days and green days, you're showing your age. Yes, it used to be, but we haven't had red and green days for quite a long time. The eating plan is called food optimizing, and you know, famously, I always tell my new members, you know, this is not about dieting, because dieting means deprivation, you know, feeling fed up, feeling hungry, going to bed at 9 o'clock at night because you've used up, you know, all your calories, and the only thing to do is to go to bed and try and get some sleep. So, yeah, food optimizing is all about, it's a healthy eating plan where basically it's all to do with it's kind of the science of satiety, which basically what I mean by that is that it's all about choosing foods that are naturally low in calories but very high in satisfaction power.
Oh,
And the result being that, if you're like me and, a lot of us, if you love your food, the worst thing you can say to me is that, you've got to cut down on the amount of food you eat, and you've got to feel hungry to get slim. At Slimming World, I was kind of absolutely blown away by the fact that I was suddenly eating more food than I'd ever eaten, and was swiftly losing weight in a very healthy way.
yeah. Yeah, cool. Because I know my sister lost a lot of weight on Slimming World back in the day, and yeah, I know that it's also about healthy portions. I did Fit for Life once, which was a book that was, I think it was written in the 60s or 70s, and that was all about different food, combining different foods in certain ways, and I lost weight very easily on that as well. So yeah, I think and I think science is proving there's more and more and more to this, isn't there? The chemical stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, I think, again, for most of us, we've tried so many different ways of losing weight over the years. And, certain things have worked for me in the past, for sure. But nothing has ever worked for me kind of longer term, where for the last 18 months, I've been happily sitting at my target weight,
Yeah.
really still enjoying my meals, enjoying having a drink, being able to go out, live a, sort of an ordinary life, but stay at a weight that I feel just sort of so comfortable and happy with. It's great, I mean, horses for courses. I'm not saying it's the only thing out there. There are lots of different ways to do it, but yeah, it's just worked brilliantly for me,
And it got you out and away from your computer, which is great when we've got kids at home to look after, working from home. But you're right, it is quite isolating, and I still sometimes don't see anyone for a couple of days at a time if Phoebe didn't come round. So, so you went out
Yeah.
to meetings and you started enjoying it and thinking, oh, I'd quite like to do something different.
My Work Dynamics profile, I am a star creator. And, for years, because of childcare, it really suited me to be sitting at home and needing only a laptop to do my work, and i.e. therefore not even just sitting in my home, but wherever I needed to be. That was great. But as a result, felt very isolated. And, when for a long time, I actually used to work at the kitchen table, all too close to the fridge,
Um,
and all of that stuff, and so I got into this vicious circle where the more I was at home, feeling isolated, eating more, putting on weight, the less I wanted to go out and meet anyone. So yeah, sure, getting into a group of people with the same goal as me was fantastic, and that really, I think, enabled me to sort of get back to the person I sort of felt I truly am, which is someone who's really into meeting other people, having a laugh, having a giggle. So yeah, that kind of all fell into place for me really with Slimming World.
Amazing. So, did you find when you went? Because I know that you've moved around and you have to make new. I mean, you've got lots of virtual friends, obviously, but having friends in the town where you live is quite important. Did you find that sort of naturally came as a byproduct of going to the group as well?
Funnily enough, when I joined Slimming World as a member, I was in London, whereas when I became a consultant, I moved back to Ireland. And what has been fantastic for me, I've lived in Ireland, as you know, for years, and I've made friends over the years through Jake, etc., but always felt a bit of an outsider. Suddenly, I'm living in this town where I can't go 2 minutes without bumping into someone who knows me. And I absolutely love that. I know there are people who, love a bit of sort of privacy and their own space, etc. But I really enjoy the fact that, I wander through town. I'll see some people ducking and diving to avoid me because they know that, I'm going to make them feel bad about what they've been eating or doing, or they think I will. I mean, obviously I'm not going to. But yeah, I love the fact now that I know people everywhere. Definitely better for my social life, and just for that sense of being part of the community works for me lovely.
Yeah, I do. That's why I live in Shoreham by Sea. It's so small. Everyone knows me, and I go in the co-op and have a chat. But nobody knows what I do outside Shoreham,
Yeah.
that was the best thing.
Yeah.
There was one very funny occasion where we had a shop called Bob's, where you went to buy everything. And when I lived on Shoreham Beach, I went in there, and she had this magazine, because I used to go in every day, and she had this magazine. I think it was Marie Claire or something, and she just had it open at this double page spread, which I'd done. And she said, now I know what you get on the train to London to do.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible. And what part of your career was that then, Nicola?
Oh, that was Money Gym days, when they used to wheel me up to
Yeah.
London and give me makeovers and things. It was great fun. But yeah, I love the sense of
Brilliant.
community. And of course now we've got the teams. You can't go in a pub in this town without one of your kids' friends being behind the bar. There's no way that you could conduct an
Yeah.
illicit affair or anything, because everybody knows everybody now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely right. Yeah.
So tell me a bit about your week.
Brilliant.
Been to do with work then.
Yeah.
What's your week? What does your week look like?
Okay, well, I mean, briefly, my working week, as far as the members and the groups are concerned, starts on a Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. and ends on Thursday at about 11:30 a.m. So that kind of part of my working week is sort of quite short, but obviously I've got a fair bit of admin that goes on around it. So I'm still a bit of a workaholic, and tend to be working any day of the week. My week this week, I was kind of laughing to myself. I was lying in bed yesterday morning, knowing that yesterday evening I'd be working until about sort of 10:30, coming out of group. Yesterday morning, it wasn't even 7 o'clock, and my phone went, my text message pinged, and it was a member contacting me to say she wasn't going to be in group. And she woke me up, and I was kind of laughing to myself, and it was reminding me actually about Steve. One of the things Steve Watson and I used to laugh about were clients and kind of boundaries. And
Yeah.
I remember Steve telling me in that dry tone of his about how he was kind of gently falling off to sleep one night about sort of 11:30 when his mobile phone went, and it was one of his web clients asking, some question that really did not need answering at 11:30 at night. So I'm kind of laughing to myself this week. I'm thinking about text etiquette and sort of client boundaries, and what I feel is acceptable in terms of when you can contact people and when you can't. Funnily enough, at Slimming World, because it's all about food and what you can and can't eat, there are quite a few good stories. I mean, I've had members literally phoning me at sort of midnight on a Friday night, and I'll kind of see their number come up on the phone, and on this occasion I was thinking, God, it must be some emergency. I'd better answer the phone. Anyway, she was saying, yeah, I'm kind of struggling with Facebook. I'm just wondering if you can help me. And I'm saying, do you realise it's midnight on Friday? But that was topped by one of my sort of fellow consultants who was asleep in bed one night. It was about 1:30 in the morning when her phone went. She answered it to discover a member on the other end saying, I've just come out of the pub and I'm in the chipper, and I'm just wondering, would it be better for me to have a kebab or to have the burger and chips?
Oh, that's right, calorie counting.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking about, this week, just those boundaries that we do or don't set with our clients, and how sometimes they really wind us up. But to be fair, I don't necessarily tell my clients or my members what my boundaries are around that, so I've got to take a bit of responsibility there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what about you? How's your week been?
Well, I mean, I always used to say to Steve, because I was often there when his phone went off, obviously, and I used to say, you shouldn't be answering that, you encouraging them to call at this time of night if you answer it. But he just, because he'd been in the hospitality industry for so long, he just didn't feel he couldn't not do it. And the Steve that grumbled about it behind the scenes was the Steve who would still be picking up the phone and trying to help people and feeling really compelled to do that. So yeah, it makes me laugh. And often some of his clients were my clients as well, because a lot we kept our working life quite separate, but some of his clients were my clients, and I'd often be there when my clients were giving him a hard time. So that was
yeah. Your week, go on.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say I've been launching a mastermind. I haven't done any coaching for about a year and a half, and I've got my inner circle membership up and running again because I missed it. I missed the sense of community. Exactly what we've been talking about. And I haven't done the 1 o'clock on a Wednesday calls for a couple of years, and I'm just thinking, oh, I quite like to do that occasionally. So I've been restructuring it all, and I've just launched the mastermind element of it, which I'm hoping is going to be something for people that really. I've always shied away from the whole idea of accountability in coaching. I always felt that people should keep themselves accountable, because I do. So I sort of assume that everyone else will as well. But this mastermind, I'm very much structuring it around an accountability system so that people can come and get weekly support, monthly support, quarterly support after having designed a 1-year plan. Because I've seen it work so well with some of my VIP clients. They just love the fact that you refocus. And I think it's not so much about accountability, although that's the word people use. I think it's about refocusing on a regular basis on your business and your goals and working out, your timelines in advance, and then being able to look at, because Judith and I covered this on one of the podcasts, it's about how to work out if you're on track, to achieve your goals. And I think it's actually the one thing that frees entrepreneurs from having to feel like they have to work all the time. I don't know about you, Marion, I'm sure you remember, apart from the fact that websites had to get done by deadlines, you always felt that you had to be doing more marketing or more social media, or, if you just did a bit more, it would all work a bit better. And
there's no natural limit at all on when you're working for yourself like that. You always feel that there's something extra you can do. Loving the sound of the whole accountability thing. I know, as you've said, you don't necessarily need it yourself, but I think for your average type of person, certainly myself, I would include in that. So good to know that other people have heard what you've said you're going to do, because somehow it becomes more real and important when other people are part of that, part of that process.
Yeah,
so that sounds really exciting. Yeah.
And it all came home to me when I was reading a book called Traction, which is and there's a second book called Get a Grip. Traction's very much the dry how-to kind of book, and Get a Grip is where they've taken the whole concept in Traction and turned it into a story around a fictional company. So if you prefer to read the story, read Get a Grip, and if you prefer the dry how-to, then go for Traction. But basically, I suddenly realised, if big businesses run themselves like this, they have annual meetings, quarterly meetings, monthly management meetings, and weekly, stand up huddles, they're called a lot of the time. Why wouldn't an entrepreneur? But the problem is the entrepreneur doesn't have anyone to do it with. So that's what I'm hoping the mastermind's going to do, is give me entrepreneurs some way to do it. But on a lighter note, we had Sarah's birthday last night, and we had the pub quiz at the Crown. And the Crown, yeah, exactly. Well, she didn't really have anything specific she wanted to do, and Phoebe was organising it. It's quite nice when your kids get to 21 because they start organising things, which is marvellous. So we had a team of 8, and we were penalised 3 points because we had a team of 8, and we still managed to come third from bottom. I thought
third from bottom.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Yes, and I thought with the kids on pop culture, me on natural history and history, Irving on music from the 60s onwards, and Heather and Katie came along, and they're like classical singers, so they would probably know all the classical stuff. I thought we had a bit of a chance, but we didn't. So it was very, very
well, I hope Sarah enjoyed her birthday, and I hope that you'll pass on my best wishes to her. But I do think that is quite funny, because the number of times, I remember when Jake was little, going to his first sports day, and there was the mum's race.
Yeah.
And I think I still had a picture in my mind of Princess Diana when she did that run and won. And as the whistle went and we started, I kind of knew that I was going to win the race, because I was just picturing success, so strongly. Yeah. And I came in last. And it's funny how you can feel so confident about something, and you really, really should have won that quiz, and yet, you were pretty rubbish, all told.
Yeah, absolutely. And the worst thing was we didn't even get the prize for being second to last. They actually have a prize. So at some point during the evening, you have to change your strategy. If it looks like you're not going to win, you have to start being more stupid so that you can get the second to last prize. But no, we didn't even manage that. We were third to last. But it was. I've just been listening to some Tony Robbins this morning, and he was talking about wealth being not about money; it's about experiences. And I feel much richer for having had, the pub quiz last night. It was great fun. So what's fueled your fire this week then, Marion?
Yeah, something very strange actually. It's bar charts.
Oh, go on then.
Yeah, so I kind of know, obviously, I've worked for myself for a long time, and I know the importance of measuring things, and I've always found that a real faff and have shied away from it. Now, obviously, in my current business, there are lots of things that get measured from, the size of my group, the number of new members coming in, etc. And so I always have a good sense of where I need to improve. But this week, what normally doesn't happen is I don't really get a good sense of where I am within the team of consultants that I'm a part of. So there's 33 groups in my team, and I have 3 of those groups. And I don't normally see how I compare to any other groups. But this week, I was able to get hold of the data that I wanted, and sat the Mac these days, and I really can't work out numbers. Numbers on the Mac is like Excel.
Yeah.
So I can't work it out very well. So I struggled with that. But the net result eventually was that I got these 5 lovely bar charts with pretty colours showing my 3 groups and where I sit, if you like, on the league table of groups. And it was brilliant because although I've always been able to see my own figures, what I've now been able to see is the areas where I'm doing better or worse. So just as an example, the things that we measure, average paying members per month, member retention, obviously really important to hold on to members. But the most important thing at Slimming World is always going to be about member weight loss, because we want our members to be happy. What makes them happy is, obviously the weight that they're losing. So yeah, my little bar charts demonstrate very prettily that when it comes to my member weight losses, my team, my groups are doing really well, and we're in the sort of the top 5 or 6 out of 33. And at the same time, I can see where I'm falling far short, and that's actually at the moment on bringing in new members. And that, seeing those bar charts is really giving me that visual to kind of give me it's compelling me to see, right, what do I need to do differently? What am I going to try? What's going to bring in? What's going to improve my performance? So yeah, bar charts, strangely enough.
Unless it's your client challenge of the week, can I ask a couple of questions? One is, how do you go about marketing a slimming group in a town? And 2, do you find your coaching skills come in handy running a group like that?
To answer your first question, what I like, obviously, having worked for myself and having had to, set up my own systems, and I love the independence of being an entrepreneur. But what I've really enjoyed about becoming part of an organisation, even though it's my own business, is the fact that these systems are tried and tested. So we have what we call a sort of an 8-prong attack. There's 4 promotion campaigns throughout the year. So as you would expect, New Year, Easter, summer, and autumn/Christmas. And for each of those promotion periods, we have it's a 15-day period, therefore, per campaign. So a very tight marketing period, and we have what we call an 8-prong attack. So it will cover things like everything from leafleting, putting up posters, advertising, social media, community events. So there's a nice kind of structure. Now within that sort of framework, I can decide what I want to do more or less of, what works better for me, what works not as well. And of course, it is the first time I've run a local business. I've never run a business that was in any way local. So that's the way we do it, and works very well. And the fact that, you know, we have those very specific periods each year does mean that it has a sort of a great effect nationally.
Yeah, it's like little mini product launches, isn't it? And you know, it is interesting. I've often wondered what it would be like to work in a franchise, and like you say, because we had Jackie Rogers on a couple of weeks ago as well, and of course she's franchising the Athena. It has been franchising the Athena network, so she had to find the systems that worked for her in her area. But like you say, it would be different in each area, wouldn't it? But it must be really nice to have a structure to work to like that you haven't had to think up yourself.
Well, definitely, because, you know, I love a challenge, and I have really loved over the years doing my own stuff and finding what works. But, you know, there's a great relief going into a business that has got a proven reputation, and where, it was started 47 years ago. So obviously in that period, they have really sort of tried everything. They know what works, and you know, some of it I don't always like, you know, going out leafleting, putting leaflets through doors on a rainy Sunday morning, getting your fingers bitten off by dogs, etc. Not my favourite, but, you know, we do know what works. Of course, these days, although leafleting is still one of our sort of marketing prongs, obviously things like now social media, and for me particularly Facebook, seem to me to be more time efficient and more effective, definitely.
Yeah. Do you have a Facebook page for your town for Slimming World? I
do, yeah. Can't remember what the URL is. It's something like SW Charleville. I think it's yeah. I could find that. I should know that, really, shouldn't I?
Well, you know, you can claim your vanity.
I've got,
so you know, if you haven't done that, then obviously do. No, that's brilliant. And
yeah,
as someone who's I'm adding another question in before you've even had a chance to answer the second one now. As someone who's worked in the entrepreneurial environment, where and you're a pretty organised person, you were always the one who used to throw up to me when I did a launch all the inconsistencies and the things that didn't work. So I know you're very system orientated. So as someone who's worked in the entrepreneurial environment, albeit being systems orientated, and someone who's now working a franchise thing, would you think that for people who are coming out of employment, it would be a really good thing to do a franchise first before they moved on to trying to be a lone entrepreneur?
I think it's going to depend on the individual, isn't it? Because some people have been working have been employed, but are absolutely all those entrepreneurial traits that are needed just to do it on their own. And I know, I mean, I'm not someone who likes being told what to do, but at the same time, I'm someone who loves being part of a team, and you know, really, I want to get to a successful place as quickly as possible. I don't really have, you know, the ego to have to need it to be my idea.
Yeah.
I do think franchises obviously work for some people. Again, you know, having sort of looked into franchises over the years, a lot of them do require, you know, big financial outlay.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that can be a stumbling block for people. But I do think that, yeah, for someone who maybe isn't too sure, or someone who really does like that, you know, the
support,
the idea that they are, having that support structure. I do think it's a very nice kind of, let's say, between the two extremes, it's a very nice place to be.
Yeah. And finally, what do you think your coaching background helps?
Well, absolutely. And I'm always amazed. I mean, you know, I'm in my 50s, and I think I've got so much life experience and was a coach for a long time. I'm always amazed when I come across consultants who are like 21 years old and they're doing really well. I don't know how they manage, actually. But yeah, the coaching really does come in handy. Just the listening skills for members. You know, I have a group session every week. And that really is absolutely coaching. the individuals within the group. Yeah, totally. The open questions, the pauses, the silences, the getting people just to giving them the time to explore really what's going on for them if they're having a challenging time. Totally.
Brilliant. Well, what's fueled my fire this week has been an idea that I came across because after Jackie was on the show. I mean, I covered it last week as well. I've been rewriting The Science of Getting Rich for the internet age, and also with a view to aiming it at teens and young people who wouldn't listen, wouldn't be able to read all the old-fashioned language and everything. It's a right labour of love, this one, because every time I think I'm done, I have to go find another bit that's that I've skipped over, and it's talking a load of old-fashioned stuff. But one of the concepts I came across in it is the concept of being bigger than the place you fill in the universe, which I've really been exploring a lot in my head and doing lots of mind mapping about. And I did a video yesterday about it. I was on Facebook Living for 28 minutes. And
Wow.
a little tip here. If you can make your Facebook Live videos longer than about 10 minutes, you start to get some real reach. They really start to push it out to more and more people, not just the people who've liked your page. But so I got a reach of something like 3,500 people on that one, just by the fact it was a bit longer. But what I did was I mind mapped the concepts I wanted to cover about this concept of being bigger than the place you fill in the universe, which is all about how so it's about how the universe is increasing and how life is always growing and seeking to increase itself, and how you can hasten your success levels by being bigger than the place you fill in the universe. So, there's a Marion shaped space in the universe, there's a Nicola shaped space in the universe, and if we can do more, and not just do more, if we can leverage ourselves more, or if we can create more than so that when we go, we've left more than we've left stuff.
Yep.
That we've created, and it's just a really interesting concept, because if you think about it in a job, the person who does the best job, the person who stays there, stays a bit later, finishes the report, the person you can rely on to do something when they've said they've done it, the person who doesn't watch the clock quite as much as everybody else, that's the person who's going to get on in life. And they're also not just going to get on in life, they're going to have a better time of it as well, because they'll be giving more of themselves, and in the giving, you get so much more back. And it's just it was such a sort of secret hidden in plain sight in this book, and one that I'd completely overlooked last time when I read it last time. And even on the fourth or fifth read, I didn't really notice it, but then it suddenly popped into my head. And so that's fueled my fire. I'm doing quite a lot of stuff around that, making memes for Instagram and video and all that stuff. Go.
That sounds fantastic. And just to clarify, are you actually rewriting the book? What are you going to publish it on Kindle or something?
It's actually there. I'm giving it away for the first 100 or so people. So if you go to thescienceofgettingrichonline.com, you can get a free copy, and also I've started a discussion group on Facebook, private discussion group, where we can actually talk about the concepts of it in from a modern day point of view, because the original book was pretty old fashioned. And I'm very keen, as I say, to bring it into a place where it could be read or listened to by young people, and just rewriting the language is helping a lot. But I'm astonished, and that's why I'm doing it, because when Jackie talked about it, because she's rewriting it for women, so that's going to be great for her ladies' network. But the concepts in the book are completely sound. I mean, if you strip away all the archaic language and the references to God and the formless stuff, and if you start to compare, what quantum physicists are doing, this is me watching science videos on YouTube, Marion. I can't quite believe I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But everything in the book is completely sound. Just astonishing.
And I know that I've never been able to read The Science of Getting Rich from start to finish for that very reason. And I know sort of some of I think the very first sort of personal improvement book I ever read was How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I firmly believe that everyone should read that. But Also, all the sort of Norman Vincent Peale, the power of positive thinking, they had a big influence on me. But as you say, that language is so difficult. I mean, I found it relatively sort of, well, not hard going, but it took a little bit of work to read them. And so, I think that is such a brilliant project. I'd be really look forward to seeing that, Nicola, and reading it.
Yeah, it's a passion project, really, because I can't see this ever make me any money. But anyway, we'll see.
If you are bored by working for someone else, or tired of trading time for money, or a business owner who's ready to travel and have adventures, then Own It the Summit is for you. We interviewed 18 inspiring entrepreneurs enjoying unique lives. Now you can dip into those lives and decide which of the business models will work for you. Our interviews will show you how to design your dream life beyond the laptop and how to live and work in your favourite ways and places. Our intrepid 18 share the tools and techniques they use to work on the go and what living and working in total freedom really feels like. Find out more at ownitthesummit.com.
So, client challenge of the week, Marion. What have you brought us?
Yes. Okay. Well, what I brought is, it's quite a kind of a universal thing, really. Although, of course, I'm sort of talking about my own experience. So, as I've mentioned, we're coming up to the next promotional campaign at Slimming World because September is it's our busiest time of the year, bar the new year influx of new members. So, as a consultant, it's great. You know that you're going to get busy. You're going to get all these lovely new members, and it's it's exciting for them as well. So, the first sort of 2-3 weeks of September, we're going to have a lot of members, a lot of excitement and optimism. And what I remember both from the last sort of January campaign and the last September campaign is that within a few weeks, some people are going to fall away. Now, obviously, we never retain 100% of our members, unfortunately, but I kind of think what's particularly difficult is at this time of year, more people are inclined to show up, get started, feel excited about their weight loss journey, but for some of them, that is going to end. And I think this is all to do with the way we sabotage ourselves. So really my challenge, my client challenge this week is really about overcoming self-sabotage. How do we stay committed to something, whether it's, an action, a habit, a new business, etc. How do we stay committed through the hard times? Because I'm talking about something which we know is immensely important to us, whether that is the new business or the weight loss. It's immensely important. But if we're not careful, after that initial enthusiasm, the commitment is gone. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And my brain's going in two different directions as I'm listening to you, because first of all, there's the thing about your why has to be bigger than the challenges you come across. Have you ever read the book? Is it Simon Sinek, isn't it? Why? Find Your Why. And I remember when I
can't remember.
Yeah, it's a good book. It's called Find Your Why, I think, and it's by Simon Sinek. And he talks about the fact that you can't. It's like the willpower thing. You wake up in the morning, you've only got so much willpower. If you have to make lots of little decisions throughout the day, your willpower's gone by the evening. It's like a muscle. It can be pushed, but it can't be pushed that far. And the other thing is that if you've got a huge, big why, you tend to, when you run up against obstacles, you tend to remember that big why, and it helps you keep on track. I mean, I did actually, as you know, Marion, lose 5 stone at one year because I had a huge big why that just made it a lot easier to keep focused on it. But on the times when I was tempted to not keep focused on it, what I found most easy, and this is what I find about running a business as well, is to do stuff you love. Do make it easy for yourself. Don't try and make it difficult for yourself. Make it easy for yourself. So perhaps try and find ways to make it easy. And then the other thing that popped into my mind is this is like a membership site, and a lot of online membership sites very carefully structure the next event for just past the point when they know most people drop off.
Yeah.
So they'll perhaps
Yeah.
organise a webinar or something, or an extra call-in day or something. Is there anything like that you could do in your business, do you think? Do they know exactly when people start dropping off?
Well, we know that the first 6 weeks are the kind of make or break time. And generally speaking, you can get through those first 6 weeks. I mean, what tends to be the sort of the tipping point is maybe the first time that someone falls off plan. So the danger is that, we start off, we set ourselves up to be perfect. And the minute that we prove to ourselves that yet again, I didn't make it, then we self-sabotage and we say, right, that's it, I'm going to give up. Now, obviously, from my point of view as a consultant, every week, in group, I'm trying to bring in something new for people. It's always about, some extra food learning or some extra, let's say, personal development. But the problem really is that when someone feels they've had a blip, the danger is actually getting them to come back into group. Yeah. Because what they're going to want to do is avoid the scales. And honestly, our approach is always to let people know that we know that we're human, and no one gets through their weight loss journey without having a maintain or a gain, often several times. And we find that totally acceptable. And so in group, it's always about emphasizing that. But the danger is the person not wanting to come into group because they've had that sort of bad time. A lot of my member contact these days has changed dramatically from my old business, which was all around email. This business is all around sort of texting. So I do send out, a motivational text at least once a week. Always try and enthuse people about what's going to be happening in group, this coming week. Yeah. But I think it's about getting past people's own barriers and their idea that in some way they have failed, or they're going to feel humiliated if they come in and face the scales and they don't see what they want to see.
Yeah, it's black and white thinking, isn't it? I remember there was quite a lot of cognitive behavioural therapy going on in my slimming group, and she was very good at it. She was actually, a qualified psychiatrist, the woman who ran mine, and she said, that it is this black and white thinking that people have, and that just scuppers them on when it comes to trying to lose weight, because the minute they fall off the wagon, or lapse as it was called in my group, they think that's it, it's over, they're useless, it's the end of the road and all that business. Yeah. So do you think? Yeah, definitely. Do you think the texting thing, does that cost you a lot, or is that quite an inexpensive marketing tool for you?
No, it's completely free. It's just part of my package. Okay. So I don't worry about that.
What about stepping up the texting? The motivational quotes mixed with CBT kind of thinking, and doing one every day during either the whole time or during that danger time.
Well, certainly, I think especially those first 6 weeks, what I haven't yet done, and again, I do get a lot of support within the organisation, what I haven't yet done is really set up a nice system whereby in those first 6 weeks, they're getting the right message at the right time. That's something that I keep meaning to do and haven't got around to doing. I do try and call new members, but again, I suppose my own kind of limiting belief there is that someone could be in the middle of, the weekly shop or at work, and they get a phone call from their slimming consultant. I'm not someone that they want to hear from necessarily. Having said that, the number of times members do say to me, God, your text arrived at just the right moment. I was just about to go into the kitchen and, you seemed to sense, and you sent me that text, it saved me. So there's a little bit of a limiting belief here for me as well around the amount of kind of stalking that I do of my members, because some people, they're great, they are pretty self-sufficient and they don't need that kind of amount of support. But for other people, it's about just letting them know, how understanding I am of the challenges. Yeah. and that, you know, we're not setting them up to be perfect.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's about preparation as they come in, isn't it? I mean, I was just thinking about, you know, Tut's message from the universe. You know, do you remember we're all? I think we all probably still get it.
Yeah.
But we always used to compare notes about his message. But we all got the same message. But it always seemed we always thought we had the house bugged, because his messages just seemed to arrive, just, you know, and be really pertinent to what was going on in our lives. So I definitely think stepping up the text content. I mean, you know, so if someone's shopping in the supermarket and they get a text from their slimming consultant, really, even if they're doing well, they're going to think, oh, that's nice, she's thinking of me. You know, they're not going to realise that it's going out to everybody. And even if they do, like we all did with Tut's message for the universe, we still all felt that it was somehow personalised to what was going on in our lives. So I think that can only be a positive, really.
Yeah, very true, very true. And I think, you know, the other thing is about, you know, starting a project or a habit because of some external reasons, so i.e. the fact that it is September, the kids go back to school, you know, we all want to go and do an evening class, or we all want to go and lose weight, and the same thing at Christmas with, you know, New Year resolutions. And as you say, it is about reminding people of the why, and on their enrolment form, I really encourage them. There's a space where they can tell me a little bit about themselves, so I get to understand the member and what their motivation is. Because obviously, you know, for some people it's health, for some people it's a, you know, a self-esteem thing. Often it will be a big event like a wedding, you know, whether it's their own or someone else's. So really, it's about kind of getting to know them and keeping them in mind of why they started. And, you know, we've got lots of sort of good tools like, you know, talking to them about visualization and things like, you know, a for and against list, because often, you know, it's unconscious sabotage, isn't it? We think we want something, but actually, unconsciously, we're frightened of, you know, what the effects will be when we get what we think we want.
What Mark Foster used to call the anti-goal. You know,
and all this kind of hallucination that we do. Oh God, when I'm skinny, you know, it's going to cost me a fortune in new clothes, or I'm going to get, you know, lots of unwanted attention, or, you know, any of those things. And of course, as we know, you know, everything is easily overcome once we've identified it. So, yeah, you know, I'm up for the challenge, both, you know, for myself and for the members, I think, this September, Nicola.
Yeah. What about, I mean, I don't know how much you're allowed to do, but what about looking at when people drop off and just before that point, perhaps do something like, I don't know, an extra webinar or something in it, so they don't. You know, you've got all these internet marketing tools at your disposal, and I just think you could make a real difference by announcing a special, you know, webinar next week, the week before the week when traditionally people drop off.
Yeah. Now, on which subject? Here's a question for you: Facebook Live. Yes. I haven't been able to press the button yet. I just haven't been able to convince myself, and it's because of one simple thing. Do I get a chance with Facebook Live to try it, or am I literally going to press a button and anyone could see me?
You're going to press a button and anyone can see you. That's the whole point of it. What's your trepidation around it?
What's my trepidation? That my hair might look odd.
Oh, no, please! You did my Facebook Lives. I had to go and get my hair cut, especially because my hair looks so bad.
This is the thing. And I mean, I know also from history of doing it, you know, doing the videos, how, you know, a 5-minute video, if you're not careful, can take, you know, hours of preparation. And the number of times that I have, you know, rerun a video to get it right. So it's fear of not being perfect, Nicola. Obviously.
Well, yeah. What I found helps a lot with talking. I've never had a problem talking to camera, but what I really don't want to do, and I love the spontaneity of it, and that's the whole point, Marion. You know, if you did a daily Facebook Live as well, and you got your members into your Facebook page and got them to subscribe, so they got notified when you went live. then you would be able to do a little, on top of your daily text, you'd be able to do a little, a little Facebook Live video. It's the spontaneity of it that I absolutely love, and the fact that it's so bloody easy. All you need is an internet. I mean, the hardest thing is finding somewhere with an internet connection in my house, but. But the fact that if you just prepare yourself, just say, okay, just do a little mind map, perhaps, which you could do on a notebook or something, and just so that, because what happens is when you get live, people come along and they start commenting and asking you questions, and you get distracted and you don't cover the points you wanted to cover. So the trick to keeping it tight and on topic is to have a little, perhaps a mind map, because then you're still spontaneous, but you can look down at it occasionally, and just keep it on topic. And then the best thing about it, Marion, afterwards is you can then go in and you can edit the title and then you can actually put 5 key phrases. It's a bit like tagging, so you can actually tag it to weight loss, losing weight, and people's interests. So you actually tag your video to people's interests. And then you can then just download it and upload it to your YouTube channel. So you can be building a YouTube channel from the things that you're sharing on Facebook Live. It's the best form of leverage I've come across. It really is.
Brilliant. And do you announce, if you know that you're going to do a live Facebook video at 10 o'clock, do you announce to people?
Well, hilariously enough, I was thinking about you yesterday, and I was thinking about how you always used to have my back on my disorganisation. I actually announced at a time yesterday that because everyone says you never tell me when you're going live. I just go live when I feel like it. But yesterday I thought I'm going to go live at 1 o'clock. And 12 o'clock, that's it. I'm going to go live at 12 o'clock. And I was in my kitchen pottering about, and I looked up at the clock and I thought, 12 o'clock, that's the time. So I announced it everywhere. And what I didn't realise was I'd looked at the clock wrong and it was already gone 12 o'clock. So I had to go back and change it. But you know what? I got less people turning up live because I'd announced it in advance, and I can't understand why. But no, don't bother with any of that. Just literally just go live. Think of it as creating content that the people who like your page will see later when they're ready to consume it.
Yeah, I think actually when you let people know in advance, it's almost like, oh my God, there's something else that I've got to put in my diary.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas perhaps just by doing it unannounced, people are hanging around on Facebook and they come across it. Yeah,
the key is to get the people who've liked your Facebook page, get them to go in and click the notifications thing so they get notified when you go live. And it'll be great. I just say honestly, Marion, you'll be so good at it. And if you take away all the stress from it, this is exactly what we're talking about in the Client Challenge of the Week, isn't it? People do the things they find easiest to do and they enjoy the most. And somehow you've got to find ways to engage with your members just at those crucial moments, those pivot points when they might be needing a bit more support. Cool, good one. All right.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm making a commitment to do my first Facebook Live within the next. Well, let's say I'm in group now, but certainly within the next 3 days. I'm gonna do that. So thank you for that, Nicola.
Oh, really?
What about your client challenge?
No, that's it. You just bring one and we deal with it. That's that bit done.
Oh, lovely.
We'll crack on with Word of the Week. What's Word of the Week for you this week?
God, I feel like I'm doing an awful lot of talking, Nicola, so apologies, but there you go. Keep asking the questions. My word of the week is going to be angels.
Oh, go on then.
And I'm talking about, obviously, the people who come into our life when we need them. I was in a group last night, and at the end, a member came up with a beautifully presented package and a thank you card. Oh. And I don't know if it was that lunar eclipse we had a few days ago, but I'd had a bit of a wobbly few days, and I cried an awful lot, it seemed. And she gave me this present last night, absolutely beautiful, and it's something that I'm going to be using every day, and it's going to make me think of her and kind of feel gratitude to these wonderful people. And I just feel that my life has been blessed with angels. you alluded at the beginning, Nicola, to I think we first met in, I think it was actually 2001.
God.
And you were kind of one of my, for a start, you were you were my first and most influential coach. You were hugely generous. You coached me when I didn't have the money to pay you, God love you. And so you kind of showed up in my life when I needed you. You taught me more than I wanted to know about internet marketing. And significantly, you were the person who really encouraged me in my writing. You were always so encouraging there. And of course, Nicola, Judith as well, another of the angels in my life who has been, her support over the years has been immeasurable. So I just feel that we do all have angels. I think we have to kind of keep our eyes open for those angels who are around us waiting to help us. I think we've got to be able to accept their help graciously and know that maybe they're getting something out of it as well.
Oh, totally.
And just, as I say, just feeling
a joy to work with you. It really was. It was, I can't even remember that we worked pro bono for a while. I can't remember that at all because I got so much out of talking to you as you did out of talking to me. So it was lovely.
Thanks. Yeah. So angels is my word of the week.
Yes, and that's a nice one. I like that a lot. Judith will like that too. She likes a nice angel. Mine is silly season. 2 words. She hates it when I do that. Silly season.
Yeah.
It has been. It's the 1st August. I've really noticed it. I don't actually ever believe in things like everything gets quiet for August, everything gets quiet for December. I don't believe it. We always used to launch the money gym in December, and it was always really busy. But silly season definitely. And the reason I'm noticing it is because when I look at the podcast download numbers, we had a distinct drop around Brexit. I mean, you wouldn't think that Brexit would stop people listening to a podcast. We had a distinct drop around the Olympics last week as well. So, I could see the download now. And considering a lot of our downloads are from overseas as well. So obviously that was a global effect. And on the days when the sun's shining a lot, again, I can notice a drop. So it's silly season, but I have actually noticed that numbers are surging in the last few days again. So I think silly season is coming to an end. We're all starting to feel that school feeling, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. I think, certainly there's a sense of relief. Our summer was rubbish anyway, but a sense of relief that the summer is coming to an end and all this, sort of lack of routine and kids hanging around and that nice sense that, with September, we all kind of start shining ourselves up for a new phase of expansion and growth.
How old is Jake now?
Well, interestingly, 21 a couple of weeks ago.
Good grief.
So just the same as Phoebe.
Yeah. And we've still got this thing about, that sense of relief when they go back to school. That was years ago.
Yeah, I was remembering. I was talking about Jake last night. I was remembering about the day that I sent him off to school. He kept telling me that term wasn't starting till the next day, and I kind of clipped him around the ear and said, enough, you're going to school. And of course, we got down there and there was no school. So I've even tried sending him to school in the holidays.
Oh, bless. I always used to do that on inset days, and I never believed. So what's your project update?
Yeah. Just very quickly, really, as I've said, the fact that I'm just coming, I'm just within my 15-day promotional window for September. So it's, very much to the forefront of my mind, getting as much done in terms of promotion to get the numbers coming in order to help as many people as possible, because losing weight literally changes your life, sometimes saves your life. And so I kind of think this is really good work that I'm doing, and I want to help as many people as possible. So it's all about the promotion for me at the moment and letting people know we're there and getting people in to see what a fantastic way this is to lose weight.
It's such an interesting thing that you said there, because so many people are so terrified of promoting what they do, of making a sale. They just, it's crippling some people, some businesses. But you are on such a mission. Does it feel different promoting and selling a sale of Slimming World to a website?
It does, although what I noticed with websites, the same as with weight loss, is that people do tend to want those things. I didn't find websites a hard sell at all because it was such a huge market, and I appealed to a certain type of client, and I was perfect for my ideal client. When it comes to weight loss, the interesting thing, of course, I mean, we know about the size of the weight loss industry, and I have people coming in who, I mean, they literally only need to lose 7 pounds. And so the interesting thing from a business point of view is that, of course, the weight loss market is enormous. But what feels different for me is, again, I just cannot emphasize enough my total, utter belief in the way people lose weight with Slimming World. And so therefore it's exciting to talk to people about it without kind of sounding like I'm on my soapbox. It is exciting. I know, I think when I'm telling them about the plan, I see their eyes wide open, and often people are kind of laughing. I did it myself. They're laughing and saying, this cannot possibly work. And I say, I know it can't possibly work, but say that, tell me that again when you come in next week and you're, 5 pounds down or 7 pounds down. I've had members who were 12 pounds down in their first week. So it feels so easy because I'm not selling anything. I'm really just opening people up to the amazing thing that is about to happen to them.
Yeah, offering a solution. And I think, if people listening are hesitant about selling and marketing and promoting, then they really need to have a deep think about whether they're passionate about the solution they're offering. Because once you get passionate about the solution you're offering to someone's pain or problem, you can't help yourself but try and help that person, and you can only help that person if they join. You can't help them if they don't join.
Yeah, absolutely. And occasionally when someone comes in, well, I don't actually, we might just cut this out. I was going to say that sometimes people come in to join to get the member pack, and they're not going to come back. But something, they do come back because they can't do it on their own. Yeah. But totally what you're saying, when you've got a business where you absolutely understand the value that you bring, and sometimes sometimes we bring value but don't quite believe or understand the value that we're bringing to our clients. Yeah. Once you get that, then it can't fail really to let people know about it.
Yeah, I remember, and it was around 1999 when I read Think and Grow Rich, which was a book that came after The Science of Getting Rich, and I remember that exact phrase. If you can find the biggest number of people to serve, and that's the key difference is if you can think of it as serving people rather than selling to them, because you can only help them if you serve them. Nice one. So I'm trying to get to grip in my projects with the fact that the back end is all done, and I don't need to do any more techie stuff. So I've got to, because every time I change things, and I've decided now on what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, which is clicks and leads and my 2 coaching membership levels. I don't need to do anything else to make those businesses work. The systems are there, the tech's all there. And so now I'm having to swap my thinking around to creation and mucking about on the internet, on social media, and just creating content that draws people to me. And it's a real big head shift for me, which is proving more challenge than I thought.
But I mean, in terms of content creation, you've always been incredibly prolific, have you not?
Yeah, I have, but because the whole wealth creation thing was a topic, much like you were just describing, that I never got tired of talking about the psychology of wealth thinking, and I lost that a little bit. I mean, there's only so much you can talk about with it. I mean, Judith thinks I bang on about internet marketing all the time, but at the end of the day, there's only so many things you can do to market yourself online. And yes, there are a lot of those different things, but I've definitely found with this book, rewriting this book, that I've suddenly got a deep well of passion for it's the psychological aspects of it that really interest me. So that's given me a lot of fodder for social media stuff, including Facebook Live videos, which then go onto YouTube, and memes. You have to create Snapchat, etc., etc., etc. So that's what now I've got my head around the fact that the back end's all in place, as it were. I can just concentrate on my front end.
Oh, lovely, love. Concentrate on the front end. And also, I'm just kind of thinking again, you were saying earlier that you don't quite know, I can't remember your exact expression, but when you were talking about writing the book and you don't necessarily see it as something that will earn you money, but I'm going to wait and see. I bet, I love the way something appears that you weren't expecting, or there's an unexpected benefit to something, and so you do something not because you've got a clear plan, but it just feels right. And I would love to see where, writing that and completing it, I'd love to see where that takes Nicola.
Well, in the membership area, there's all the how-to videos, Marion, and I was thinking, I cannot, I've got a how-to video on marketing offline, a how-to, video on Facebook ads. I've got all the how-to videos are in there, but actually that's what people come for, but that's not what they'll stay for. What they'll stay for is the psychological aspects of why then they don't put the plan in place. It's a bit like weight loss, entirely just like weight loss. Everyone says eat less, move more. Oh, there's so much more to it than that. And everyone says, okay, so you just set up your free gift and your email follow-up sequence, but people don't do it. And they don't do it for the belief systems they've got going. And when this book popped into my life, I talked to Jackie a few weeks ago and reread the book for myself and thought, the answer to everything is in here. And now I've got an angle. It's like I've got an angle, but it's not an angle. It's not a dishonest thing. It's something to hang the membership site on, which is the psychology of why people don't do the things they know they should do to get successful. And so that's given me a renewed passion, as you can obviously hear in my voice. It's given me a renewed passion that I haven't really felt since the Money Gym days. So there we go. Who or what's impressed?
Who or what's impressed? A couple of things. So I'm just going to very quickly mention both. One of them is, in my business, we love our awards. We award members for every £7 they lose. We have lots of different competitions throughout the year. And in the last week, we have our biggest award, which is Woman of the Year. What I love about this is it's about recognising the woman within the group, not necessarily with the biggest weight loss, although it could be. It will be someone who's really sort of inspired other members. Oh. And so we've had, let's say, 4 or 5 nominees in each of the 5 sessions that I run. We listen to their story for, a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes before voting. And, you would literally be in floods of tears listening to the journeys that people have been on, the difference their weight loss has made to them. It's not always about the losses on the scales. It's about their wins off the scales, what we call the non-scales victories. And it's everything from coming off medication after, maybe 10 years, members who are able finally to fall pregnant, or dropping, 10 clothes sizes, or becoming a stunning bride, whatever it is. And that has been so inspiring and has impressed me this week with people's courage and strength.
Yeah, nice. Lovely to be surrounded by those kind of stories, isn't it?
Yeah, fabulous. Fabulously motivating for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I was struggling a bit on this section today, but I've fallen back on one of our mutual old favourites, Frank Kern. So I thought, talking about Frank for 2 minutes, it's got to be good. He's been following me around with his Facebook ads, offering me his book on how to get high ticket consulting, and I'm pretty sure I've bought this before. So I've been resisting. But his marketing is so compelling. I actually went and bought it. It's only $5, so it's not like it's a lot of money. And it's a digital. Yeah. Interestingly, he's marketed it like it's a real book, but then you get to the checkout and you find out it's a digital book. But I happily forked over $5.60 again, even probably suspecting I've got it somewhere. But then the minute I bought the thing, which was yesterday afternoon, I went off to the pub quiz, and then today I'm seeing remarketing ads on Facebook saying, "Thanks for buying my book. Would you like to come to?" Because I resisted all his upsells, and I'm not joking. There are about 5 upsells, and I resisted them all, and I'm sure I've got some of them anyway. So anyway, but I've got this remarketing ad today that was really nice. It's really nice and friendly, and it says, "Oh, thanks for buying my book. Would you like to come along to a webinar?" And so obviously that's his thing he does when someone doesn't buy his upsells, is he gets you onto a webinar and then presumably sells you something at the end of the webinar. And I just thought, oh, this marketing funnel is so good. So even though I'm going through it, knowing what's happening, I'm still enjoying the process of being marketed to by Frank. And he's still brilliant, isn't he, really?
Definitely. Yeah, that's great. And, you do it yourself. You know how to do it. It's lovely to hear the fact that you can still, learn from someone else and admire that process as well in someone else.
Yeah, and I love how simple it is. You get marketed this book. It's 5. It's a low cost book. It's a great value offer. And then you get these upsells, which all would add to the experience of buying the book if you didn't know Frank and hadn't bought some of this stuff before. And then the fact that he takes a completely different tack when I did learn something there, and I think there might be something in this for Think and Grow. The Science of Getting Rich. I was Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, fab. But yeah, good old Frank is still at it 20 years later and still doing a good job. We love him.
Wow. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marion, for joining me today on this episode. You've been great fun, and techie challenges notwithstanding, which I'll be editing out. I've really enjoyed myself, so thanks for coming along.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Nicola. Have fun, and especially enjoy getting Judith back in the chair.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it, even though I'm enjoying these guest slots a lot. See you soon.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.